Hey guys, Mangs here, and in this video I'm gonna give my partial review of Unicorn Overlord. I say partial because as of recording this video, I have completed roughly half of the game. I was not able to beat the whole thing as I had to travel to America to get married, but I still wanted to get a video out talking about this game. So I got someone else to edit and upload it for me in my absence. Since I haven't beaten the whole game yet, I can't give my full thoughts on the game's story and ending, but I still feel like playing through half of it has given me a pretty good picture of what this game is all about. And in this video, I'm gonna give my thoughts on Unicorn Overlord so far and answer whether I think it's worth buying or not. I'm going to save any story spoilers for the final bit of the video, and I'll be sure to have my editor include timestamps when the spoilers do come up, for those of you who want to avoid them. There will be some footage in the background of this video while I'll talk, and I will make sure to tell my editor not to leave any blatant spoilers in the footage itself, so you should be safe. But I might bring up stuff like certain missions and game mechanics, so be warned. Anyway, with that in mind, let's talk about Unicorn Overlord. So, after playing through the demo, I was very hooked on this game, and I did several off-screen playthroughs of the demo with its 8-hour time limit, and I was always amazed at how quickly this timer ticked down. It was a testament to how much fun I was having. It's actually astounding how much gameplay you could get out of this one demo, and it really sold me and made me confident enough to pre-order the game. And when the game dropped, I opted to start from the beginning rather than transfer over my demo save file, although that is certainly an option for those of you who want to do so, and it's kinda nice to know that you can just continue your progress. It makes playing the demo not feel wasteful. I already made a video talking about my experiences with the demo, and I'm going to try not to repeat too many points. In case you haven't seen it, I'll have my editor throw a link to it in the top right corner of my screen, but I do have to repeat myself on one point, and that is the game's presentation. The visuals and aesthetics continue to impress me. The 2D sprites of this game are so gorgeous to look at, and some of the music that plays in the later missions of this game are just incredible. I've been listening to the soundtrack so much while working out. It really gets me pumped up, and it is one of my favorites of any game so far. Truly, this game scores a perfect 10 out of 10 with its presentation. Some people have criticized it for being a little horny, and I understand that this is a Vanillaware trope. They were the ones who designed the sorcerer from Dragon's Crown after all. The jiggle physics and waifu pandering is certainly something. Scarlet, one of the primary love interests of the protagonist and one of the first female characters you're introduced to, has some of the most insane sweater puppies I have ever seen, and they jiggle around like jello when she makes the slightest movement. And it doesn't stop there. There is something for everyone to be horny about in this game, whether it's Dommy Mommy Dark Elves, 7 feet tall muscular gladiator women, or dark shamans wearing what is practically a cloth bikini with their assets jiggling around like fruit dangling from a tree. I can certainly see why this kind of horniness can turn away some people, and maybe I'm a bit biased, but I really don't mind it. It's not so horny that it distracts from the gameplay, and I really just find it to be innocent fun. However, while it's easy to fixate on the horny parts of this game, I also don't think we should forget about the myriad of other characters who are just really well designed. The armor in this game looks amazing, the knights look majestic, and there are plenty of characters, both male and female, who are very modestly and incredibly stylishly dressed. It is incredibly easy to just fixate on the jiggle physics, it is just such an easy thing to notice, but honestly, Unicorn Overlord deserves so much more praise for all the other things they do as well. Every character looks distinct and unique. It truly makes me wish we could have Fire Emblem graphics like this for a future game. Now let's talk a little bit about the game itself. Unicorn Overlord is a very, very long game. This is not something you can just pick up and complete in a weekend. I did 4 streams in total, combining into 16 hours of game time, and I probably played just as much off screen, grinding resources, clearing side objectives, and just running around exploring. Overall, I have roughly over 30 hours on my main save, and according to the minimap, my progression was barely over 40%. So I think it's safe to say that a full playthrough of Unicorn Overlord is 100 hours of gameplay at least. And considering there's a higher difficulty that unlocks upon beating the game once, it absolutely seems like this game is meant to be replayed. So if you're worried about not getting enough bang for your buck, don't be. This game will keep you entertained. However, this game can also be quite grindy. Unicorn Overlord is gated behind a resource called Renown, which ticks up whenever you do anything of note, from completing missions to rebuilding towns to completing quests. This Renown grind starts at E rank and goes all the way down to D, C, B, A, and eventually S rank. And every time a new rank is unlocked, you get things like bigger squads, unit promotions, etc. Because of this gated system, the developers can fine-tune the difficulty really well, since they know roughly how powerful you should be at any point during the game. And this is needed when you are given so much freedom to traverse the overland map and do things in your own order. Some people will not enjoy this Renown grind, but I personally didn't mind it that much. Maybe it's because I'm an old school MMO World of Warcraft veteran and grinding is in my blood, but I found running around the map getting my numbers up to be a pretty relaxing activity and I really enjoyed it. I also liked that there were so many different ways to get Renown. You could easily just run around exploring, collecting resources and delivering them to towns and not really do any battles at all and the bar would still go up. This system means everything you do feel meaningful because it does progress the game forward. But I will also say that the gameplay of Unicorn Overlord does become a bit samey after a while. You start settling into a very comfortable routine of doing pretty much the same things wherever you go. You run around the map, you gather resources, whenever you find a town, you deliver those resources to build it up, and whenever a town reaches a certain level, you station a guard there to gather the resources for you. Occasionally, you'll run into side quests and filler missions where you liberate towns, and sometimes you'll stumble upon a main quest or a new recruitable character. And this is pretty much 99% of what I did throughout my playthrough, and you know what? It works. It's pretty fun actually. It feels rewarding to clear a large area of the map knowing that you now get all of these resources automatically. It really caters to the completionist in me. Though, I do have one big complaint. There are several continents and you can choose what order you do them in. I personally went to the Dragon Nation after the starting area and then eventually made my way into Elf Country. And I was kinda sad to discover that the various nations have completely different resources. This meant that the things I collected in Dragon Country could not be used to build up cities in Elfland, and this did make the grind feel somewhat cheapened. I would have personally enjoyed it if there was some overlap of resources between the nations, because spending so much time grinding all the dragon ore and dragon lumber, it was very disheartening to go into Elfland and being told I needed to gather elf ore and elf lumber instead. Like, I totally get that I can't just walk into their territory and complete it instantly, but some crossover would be nice. As I said, 30 plus hours in and I still wasn't tired of the gameplay at all, but I do recognize that I was doing a lot of the same things over and over, and it could very well be that after 100 plus hours of doing this stuff, I'm going to be very tired of this game, and maybe I don't even want to play it anymore. But so far, that hasn't happened. We will just have to wait and see. Now, let's talk a little bit about combat. Someone asked me in the comments how much of this game was just grinding and how much was strategy, and whether you could do higher level missions if you played well. To test this out, I tried beating a level 18 mission when my units was around level 15, and it was really difficult, almost impossible. Maybe I could have beaten these encounters by optimizing my formations better, but I got my ass handed to me on a silver platter. And after grinding up a few levels and reaching the intended level cap, I came back and quite easily cleared the battle. So far, it does feel like grinding is a viable way to beat the game. Clear enough side objectives and get your units high enough, and they'll eventually become strong enough to power through the challenges. That being said, strategy will get you far in this game. There are some optimized squads which are crazy good and can turn the game into mincemeat if you play around with accessories, and particularly the AI system, which lets you decide when and how your units activate their skills. There are some combinations which can let you fight enemies far higher than your level. But I also do think that you will eventually just run into a hard cap where your units will just deal 1 damage to the enemy no matter how optimized your strategy is. And at that point, you probably just need to go and grind. Most of the time, the victory objectives of the map are a very simple capture the base or kill stuff that comes towards you. But sometimes the game will throw side quests and even some escort missions where you have to ensure the survival of green units. And I really wish there was more of this. Sometimes the missions can feel a little samey. However, when the missions are unique, they are absolutely amazing. In the Dragon Country, towards the later part of the main story, there's a defense mission where you have to hold off advancing enemies from 4 directions. And the game gives you catapults and towers to garrison your units in, and it is just so much fun. I was sad when the mission ended. That's how much fun I was having. And I don't know how many more missions are like this in the game, but I hope there's more, because this game actually lends itself very well to defense missions. I actually think it's way more fun to have the enemy come to you than the other way around. However, I will be honest, as much as I love the combat animations of this game, I do find myself skipping over them quite a bit. This can backfire, as not watching the combat means you won't always notice when or how your units die. Often, I got informed by my chat that one of my key squad members was missing, and I had to quickly revive them using a consumable or a combat skill. I'm currently at the point in the game where I have 4 units in each squad, and I find that the combat goes on for way too long. If I don't speed it up, each battle sequence can easily last over 30 to 45 seconds, and it just becomes a bit of a chore to sit through it, especially when you know you're gonna win. And when you have 20 to 30 combats in a single mission, which is very doable, even 40 plus on some of the larger maps, this will take a long time and you really just want to skip over them. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice that you have the option to skip the animations, but I personally would have liked for them to be sped up in some other way so they weren't such a chore to watch, because you do really want to see what's going on, but it just becomes so much watching. I'm also gonna say something that I think a lot of people in my comment section will disagree with. I enjoy the depth that this game has. There's so much to choose from, so many options, so much customization, and it's honestly a little bit too much. It's so much that it straight up gives me choice paralysis. I think Unicorn Overlord does a good job of slowly drip feeding you its mechanics. It starts you off very nice and easy with small squads, and it gradually feeds you more and more advanced mechanics as the game goes on. But it's just the sheer amount of stuff that you end up being able to do. Just optimizing your squads can take you hours, and no matter how slowly each mechanic is introduced to the player, it reaches a point, at least to me, where it just becomes too much. Chat taught me some cool tactics, which worked out well, but eventually I just started using the auto-optimize feature on my units because I had so many accessories lying around and so much gear, and I really had no idea how to spread them all out in a good way among my 40 plus units. I know that the optimize feature is ironically pretty unoptimized, but it was easier for me to just let the AI decide how to best build my units rather than spending hours reading through my skills and trying to come up with strategies on my own or watching guides on YouTube. I don't know about you guys, but I've never been much of a guide guy. I just kind of learned the game by playing it a bunch and learning through failure. And that's why I just opted to play the game for myself a little bit off screen, away from chat constantly yelling at me and attempting to backseat, and it really made me enjoy the game more. So, we've reached spoiler territory. From this point on, I'm going to be discussing the story. I obviously cannot cover all of it, since I haven't beaten the game yet, but I want to give my quick takes on what I've seen so far, and I particularly want to criticize one part of the game, that being the demo's ending, aka the Rescue Scarlet mission. I had some pretty big issues with how this whole quest went down, but first, I want to talk about Unicorn Overlord's overall story. It's a story, alright. A very basic one. I really don't have much to say about it. Writing in this game is just very basic. Not bad, just basic. Evil empire with a big evil tyrannical overlord has taken over the world, and you, the prince, has to reclaim it. Feels like the plot of practically every single Fire Emblem game rehashed and modified a little bit. The story is simple, but it works. It's not bad, it's not cringe, it's not jarring, it's not horribly written, and some of the scenes are even a little charming, but overall, this game's story is not going to make you gasp, it's not going to have you glued to the screen wondering where the next plot twist is going to be. Everything that you think will happen in this game will probably happen just the way you think it will happen, at least if you're a jaded, cynical gaming veteran like me who's seen it all. The only time where I took some issue with the game's writing was its reports, basically this game's Fire Emblem style support conversations. They are really bland, and I really mean bland. None of them are voiced, so it's pretty much just you reading texts, but lack of voice acting does not excuse this level of writing. It's just atrocious. I watched around 20 of these off screen, and not a single one of them was exciting. It's just super basic surface level conversations, and I watched more than just the beginning ones, mind you. Very rarely do these conversations reveal any backstory or develop the characters in any meaningful way, and if they do touch on a character's past, it is often done in the most tedious, underhanded way possible, with one of the characters going, "Oh, do you remember that one time you did that thing? Oh, that sure was fun." And then the other character going like, "Oh yeah, I remember doing the thing. That sure was a thing I did." Yeah, whoever they paid to write these reports did not get paid enough, because there is very little inspiration behind these. Maybe there are some good ones unlocked later in the game that I haven't gotten to, but so far the ones I saw did not impress, and chat seemed to agree on this when I brought it up live. And then I want to come to the part of the game that I really disliked, the ending of the demo, aka the Save Scarlet mission. Towards the end of this map, I was very surprised to see that the final boss was none other than Emperor Galerius himself. Keep in mind, we are roughly around level 10 at this point. We are still very much in the early game, and we're facing the final boss. This had potential to be a really cool twist. I was expecting a big reveal that Galerius was either some kind of puppet and that he wasn't really that strong, or maybe it was just a fake body double or something. Instead, we just conventionally defeat him. Our army of level 10 scrubs kills the main big bad guy of the game. And the twists? He gets resurrected by his Garnef lookalike. And then he powers up somehow, kills our main protagonists, and warps out. He just warps out, just like that. Seconds later, Elaine gets revived by a voice in the sky. Scarlet is apparently unharmed and joined our party, and our quest to fight Galerius just continues, like nothing ever happened. I hate this sequence of events for so many reasons. Number one, it makes Galerius, aka Valmore, look like a total chump. This guy is responsible for invading the entire world. Facing him at this stage should result in our squad getting one shot. And honestly, that would have been a pretty cool way to go about things if you really wanted to do this voice in the sky resurrection Deus Ex Machina crap. Just have us reach Galerius, have him murder us terribly, and then revive us. At least that way you instill in the player a great fear of the final boss. You're basically telling them, hey, you need to level up if you want to have a chance of facing this guy. But I know why they went down this route, and others have pointed this out too. They wanted a cool ending for the demo. I actually think that originally Galerius wasn't meant to be the boss of this mission. I think Renault was the true final boss of this quest. But in the end, probably as a last-minute decision, they shoehorned Galerius in here to give the players a cool finale to the demo, making them want to buy the game, and as a result, it cheapened the main story. One of my main gripes with villains is when they do things that make them look stupid. There is no reason for Valmore to teleport out after he just finished killing Elaine. With his newfound power, he really should have gone on a rampage, killing every last soldier in the area. And I also just don't get why Scarlet is just fine. They just kept saying she was gonna die and that it was her last moment, and after this they were gonna kill her, but she's just fine. I guess it's thanks to the magic voice in the sky. And that's really something else I hate. This just is Deus Ex Machina, and I really don't like it. This was the only point of the story where I felt like the writers were reaching hard to make things go in a certain direction, and it smelled like a plot that got shoehorned into the game last minute. Despite that part, the rest of the game was very enjoyable throughout. I obviously have no idea how it's going to end, though I have a pretty good idea. I predict that at some point we're gonna go up against our mind-controlled mom, and after using the unicorn ring to dispel her, we will go together and face off against the big bad emperor. But then it's going to be revealed that it was the Garnef man who was the real puppeteer pulling the strings, and Valerius or Valmore or Galerius or whatever his name is just gonna be a puppet. That's how I think the game's gonna end it anyway. There's probably gonna be a dragon at the end, like a big bad shadow dragon or something. Like this Garnef guy, he's gonna be a shadow dragon. This game is already Fire Emblem. They're probably gonna borrow that aspect too. Anyway, despite the fact that the story isn't very original, I do look forward to finishing this game, and I'm gonna be missing it while I'm gone. In case it wasn't obvious, Unicorn Overlord is worth your time and money. You absolutely should buy it. You should play it, and you will have fun. That is not a request, that you will actually have fun. I'm commanding you to. I'd say if I had to rank it, it's probably a solid 8 out of 10. It will probably end up being my favorite game of 2024, bar a very good Fire Emblem release. While I'm gone, I'd like to know how you guys are enjoying this game. Have you beaten it yet? And without spoiling it, was the ending satisfactory? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you do want to spoil, try to do it under a spoiler tag so your comments don't ruin someone's day. Thank you so much for watching, leave a like if you enjoyed this, and subscribe for more Unicorn Overlord content. My name is mangsmemes, thank you for watching, I'll see you guys next time, bye bye!